Hi everyone! In today's video, I'm going to be recreating a makeup look for you that I did on a photo shoot with my friend and photographer, Carolina. I'm going to pull up the image so you can see it. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you would have seen this already, and for those of you that haven't seen this image before, I'm going to actually link you to the original post in the description so you can see the final photo and what the makeup looked like on the original model for the shoot. Her name was Ocean, and she killed this look. She looks so gorgeous with the glittery eye and the purple kind of smoky eyeshadow underneath. So you'll be able to see all of that. In today's video, I'm recreating this look on our model Lola. So in just a couple minutes, we'll look at her before photo and I'll show you the whole makeup application. The reason why I wanted to show you this look, one, because it's such a fun look to do. And for anybody that's into color and glitter, you're gonna love experimenting with this look on your own shoots with your own models. And two, I wanted to show you how one of my favorite products works. In this video, to get that glittery eyelid, I use the Lemonhead Space Jam. I use two colors of the Space Jam and I have swatches of them here. So I wanted to show you those. I've been using a lot of Lemonhead products in some of the shoots that I've done, and there's been a lot of questions about what it looks like, how it looks on camera. So you'll get to see it in action in today's video. I used two of the Space Jams. I mixed them together. Birthday Bitch, which is kind of the main color that you'll see, and then I mixed it with a bit of Midnight Society, which is more silver. So you can see the difference between the two. I've swatched them on my hand. So that's Birthday Bitch and this is Midnight Society. I still don't know how my camera focuses on this yet, so sorry if you can't see it that well. You'll be able to see it when I'm applying it on our model's lids. I wanted to highlight this product because if you're into beauty shoots, if you have any clients that are looking for a glittery look, you need to go and pick up some Lemonhead for your kit. I have used these products way more than I thought. I'm trying to incorporate them in photo shoots all the time. You saw my makeup on one of my clients, Lily. I used the Space Paste in private school, so you kind of got to see some of the Lemonhead in action there. So the difference between the Space Paste from that video and the Space Jam, the Space Jam has many different sizes and colors of glitter in it, and the Space Paste just has a solid one size of glitter. So this is the Space Paste. Again, very reflective. This is Mulholland, and I did mix a little bit of this in for the shoot. So very reflective, more solid glitters, and then the Space Jam are just different sizes of glitters, different shades, different tones. Check those out if this sounds appealing to you. You will not be disappointed. I just can't get enough. I can't stop using them. I want to buy everything that Lemonhead makes, but I have to really hold back because I'm probably not going to use up all of these products. I wanted to also talk about the inspiration for this look because I get a lot of questions about how I figure out what looks I'm going to do for some of the beauty shoots. What happened was I had a bunch of Space Pastes. I ordered these two Space Jams. They got delivered. I opened them up. I looked inside this little glass container and I thought to myself, I'm obsessed with this color already and I want to just put this on someone's eyelids. So I sent a message to my friend Carolina. I showed her a swatch of it on my hand and she's like, yes, let's do this. And we kind of just went from there. I wanted to explore this idea of bringing out the kind of purpley color in the Birthday Bitch Space Jam. So I thought it would be really nice to layer the glitter over top of a more reflective purpley smoky eye just to really enhance the color and give the Space Jam kind of a nice backdrop to be placed on. When you're shooting really close and you're doing beauty, it's really nice to have texture and color and have really rich finishes on the skin that photograph well. So the Space Jam to me is a really perfect product to use for a beauty shoot like this. So that's where the inspiration started. It was just actually from the product itself. I didn't have any other images. Obviously, I've seen a lot of images with glitter eyes and I just love the idea of a solid glitter lid. So I wanted to really bring out that color because I just love that color. And then when we got to set and I saw that our original model Ocean had just gorgeous skin, I kind of wanted everything to look wet and glowy and have the brows brushed up. And I just thought it would be a really cool look. So that's the inspiration for this shoot. A couple things that I wanted to mention before we get into the actual tutorial. I'm using all Viseart shadows for this look. I have depotted all of my Viseart shadows into different palettes. I don't remember the specific palettes that these shadows are from. I use 3 purple shadows in this look. I'm going to show you them here. This is the actual palette that I used. So that's the deepest purple, and I know this one for sure is from the Grand Pro 1 palette. This was the lightest color, like the first shade that I used, and then that is the second, sort of the medium purple tone. So on my fingers, you can kind of get an idea. So light, medium, dark. What I will do is look at their website, and if there's palettes that have similar colors, I'm familiar with a lot of the different products in the brand, I'll just link you to palettes that have the closest colors to what I used. I think think they're all still available. Other than the darkest shadow that I used, I chose the Viseart shadows that were not matte so I could use them damp on the skin so they're very reflective. I just wanted glow on top of glow on top of glow for this look. I want to take a look at Lola's before picture and just walk you through a couple of things and things to keep in mind with this makeup application. You can see in Lola's before picture, she's a little bit flushed. It was so hot on the day that we filmed this tutorial, and it was also really hot in our apartment. So she's a little bit more flushed than normal in her before shot. The mistake that I made in filming this video, I never know how close or how far to go. At the top of Lola's forehead, you can see she has a really beautiful golden tan. Her shoulders are also very, very tan. So when I'm doing a beauty shoot, I have to keep this all in mind, especially during the summer months. I have to pay attention to what foreheads and shoulders and arms look like and what their undertone is, because when we are shooting beauty, sometimes the hands and arms and shoulders get in the frame. So I have to keep that in mind, and I really like to make sure that everything looks blended. When you see the after photo, she may look more tan than in this photo, and that's just so everything really blends seamlessly. I am really bringing out the tan tones in her skin so that her whole body looks uniform if we were to shoot this. I also wanted to talk about Lola's skin. She has absolutely beautiful skin. The skin prep that I'm using in this video is going to be the MAC Strobe Cream. Skin prep is super important for beauty shoots because it really does affect how the makeup goes on. But when I need the skin to look glowy, I like to use something reflective like the Strobe Cream to really layer that finish underneath the foundation and also underneath a creamier highlighter. So it's almost like a triple layer of glow that I'm going to be applying. So it's going to be Strobe Cream, then the Face Atelier foundation, which has a dewy finish, and then on top of that, on the high points of the face, I'm going to be using a creamy highlighter. So I really want to maximize the glow. I'm not too concerned that her skin might be more normal to combination. If she was even more oily, that would work for me for this type of look. I wouldn't be trying to control that with skin prep. So in this makeup application, I'm really using the skin prep to add to that glowy element of the skin. I think that's everything that I wanted to address with the before photo. I'm going to remove the sweat and anything that's on the surface of her skin with a baby wipe and some Bioderma just to get everything off so I can start with a clean skin and I can start with the skin prep. From there, I'm going to move on to the MAC Strobe Cream, and I'm applying this with my fingers, and I also sometimes use a brush. I like to go back and forth depending. Today, I think I just use my hands. So you can see the original, this is the original Strobe Cream. It has a pinky kind of finish to it. I love this, even though her skin is more golden. I love the contrast, and I think that pinky tone is gonna work well with the tone of the eyeshadow that I'm using, so I don't mind if that comes through the foundation a little bit. Moving on to foundation, I'm actually using 3 shades from Face Atelier, shades 6, 8, and 10. 10 is the closest match to the darkest, most tan parts of her skin. So I'm going to start on the outer perimeter of her face with the number 10. And then you'll see me kind of mix the foundation on the skin as I go. It's really hard for me to explain how to do this because it's just years and years of practice. At this point, I'm applying some of that lighter foundation down the center of the face and blending it out with my fingers and a brush. So this is just something, a technique that I've taught myself over time. If you are not comfortable with this, you can blend things onto palette and then apply them onto the skin. That's the easiest way to do it. I'm just applying the tiniest amount of foundation, whatever is left over, onto the brush, onto the eyelids. So starting from the top of the head and moving down, and now moving to brows. She already has really full brows. I'm just using a soap brow technique to make sure those hairs stand up. This will also give me an idea of the shape so I can go and fill it in only where I need it. That's the great thing about the soap. It also is flexible on the brows, so you can brush through it a couple times while you are on set as well. Because the eye makeup look is so strong, it's always really important for me to make sure the brow is well groomed, the shape of the brow is nice and natural, and it kind of balances with whatever eye makeup look I'm doing. Because I'm doing such a strong eye with glitter and with bright color, I want to have her brows full, not overfilled so they look extremely dark, but I also want them to appear natural. So I'm really looking to fluff them out. I brush them out a couple times during the photo shoot if we were on set, just to ensure that all of the hairs are kind of fluffed out. And then when I apply the brow powder, it's really only in areas where it's needed, and you've seen me do this technique in every single one of my application videos. I don't like to go in with heavy heavy pencils. I really just like to take my time and draw in the individual hairs with the brows. And when you're on your own photo shoots, really take a look at the brows. You don't want them competing with the focal point of your look. In this case, the focal point for me is the lid with the glitter. I don't want the brows taking away from that. I'm trying to keep them fuller and nicely groomed, but I don't want them overpowering the entire shoot. The other thing I should mention, the brush that I'm using for this brow application is an old MAC brush. They no longer make it. I do have the newer version that I purchased. It's synthetic and it's a great brush as well. So I will be linking you to that brush in the description. Priming the eyes, I'm using the Viseart primer. I like to apply this with my fingers, and I'm going right over a little bit of foundation that's already on the lid. I would recommend keeping foundation or concealer to a minimum if you're going to be using a primer over top. And then I'm pressing in that really light purple Viseart shadow, and I'm using a Refer 01 brush. And I'm going to start to build the intensity and shape of this eye makeup look as I go. You can do this with any color. This technique will work. Depending on what the eye shape is, you may want to change the shape of the eye makeup look. She's got a lot of space here, so I'm gonna make this a little bit fuller. I'm gonna bring it up above the natural crease of her eyes. And because I'm starting with the eyes first, I can go fast and I'm not really concerned about fallout because I'm just gonna go back and wipe that off before I continue with the rest of the foundation application. Now I'm using a medium shadow with an old MAC 239 brush. This brush is actually damp, and I'm kind of pressing this onto the lid and dragging it across so I get nice pigment and I get that nice reflective look with the shadow as well. Should have done this at the beginning of the look. I normally like to do the waterline before I start the makeup application just in case their eyes get watery. This is the Urban Decay pencil in Perversion. You actually all recommended that I try this and I love it. It's incredibly dark, so it works really well and it goes on very smoothly. And her eyes did start watering, but not to worry because we're moving from the top down. I can just easily wipe off her tears. I can wipe off any fallout and continue on with her makeup application. I'm going to line the other eye now and give that first eye a little bit of a break. So she's trying really hard not to cry here and she did a great job. But even if she does, it's totally fine. And this is another reason why I just like to work from the top down on the face. So she's all good and ready to go. Now I'm pressing in that really deep purple shadow. I'm using a Refer 02 brush, which is very similar to the MAC 239. I guess you could say it's even a dupe. And I'm just creating dimension. Even though we're gonna be packing on glitter over top, I still go in and create some interest and dimension. When the camera gets very close to the eye in a beauty shoot or a macro shoot, these little details are important. Some mascara, it's the L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black mascara. I'm pretty sure I used waterproof because she did have more of a watery eye, so I wanted to make sure that nothing else runs down the face. Starting with the next eye now, again, repeating the same steps. So sometimes with these more dramatic looks, I'll do one eye to see if I like it. And then when I move to the second eye, it's actually faster for me to duplicate the first eye as opposed to going back and forth between either eye. So that's what I did in this case. And I think that cut a lot of time off the makeup application. And again, no need to be really neat when you're doing this. You can go quickly, pack on that color. Don't worry about fallout. You can go back and remove that after. Now I'm going in with that medium shadow. I'm using another Refer brush and I'm just pressing that on, building up the color and building up that reflective finish on the lid. You'll see a lot of blending here. I think my brush was actually too damp on this eyelid, so I had to go back and blend it out. So you'll get used to these types of things as you work with more of your shadows, and the Viseart shadows work really well wet and dry. Not all the Viseart shadows can be used this way, but the shadows that have that more metallic or reflective finish can be used with a damp brush. Sometimes I'll do a matte look and then pop on some shadow with a damp brush on the center of the lid just to get some more light in that area. And then just going down and cleaning up all the fallout. We can keep some under the eye because I'm doing this purpley color all around the top and bottom lid. So sometimes I will not even clean up all of the fallout and I'll use some of the fallout to my advantage. This is another time-saving tip. You can't do this with every makeup look, but with something like this, it can just go under with my brush and kind of blend everything together under the eye. And you can see how vibrant the Viseart shadows are and how when you layer the same tone on tone with the eyeshadows, brows, the individual colors still come through. This is a really good sign for eyeshadow because nothing is looking gray or dull, so you know the Viseart pigments are really high quality. I'm going back and adding some more strobe cream. I removed some of that when I cleaned up the under eye area, so I'm just applying some more before I continue on with the rest of the makeup application on the face. This is the Illuminati. It's a cream highlighter from Nudestix. I love this cream highlighter. It has such a beautiful finish. It's almost an iridescent finish, so it works well with the finish of the strobe cream, and it's gonna look amazing on the high points of her skin. And it's also gonna help with that wet look. I'm not gonna apply this cream highlighter all over the lid because it's gonna take away from the eyeshadow application, and the Space Jam is not gonna sit well on something that's creamy. So I'm just really controlling where I'm putting this cream highlighter, only under the brows. When we look at the final photo, these little details are important. So I'll have the same finish on the cheek that I do under the brow, and having that creamier highlighter is really not going to interfere with the shadow that I've already put down, and I'll be able to put the Space Jam on top without any problems. So you want to make sure your consistencies and finishes are similar when you're going for a really glowy look. I'm just finishing up the foundation application here, so same technique, mixing 3 shades of the Face Atelier foundation just to get a correct skin match, to build in some definition. I'm doing this right on the skin, so you'll see me go in with a darker foundation there just on the outside to kind of sculpt the face, and then I'll use a mix of the light and dark on the lighter portions of her face. So on the cheekbones, down the center of the nose, on the chin. So it's a technique that takes some time to master, but it's just something I'm so used to doing, so I kind of do it automatically. Sorry if I'm not explaining this well, but I hope you can get an idea of what I'm doing with her skin just by watching it in a video like this. The Face Atelier foundation has a really fresh finish, but when you layer it on top of the strobe cream, you can see how gorgeous the finish becomes. It's really dewy. It's really picking up the light nicely on the high points of her face, so you'll be able to see that once the rest of the foundation application is done. Another thing I should add, I'm using the Real Techniques setting brush today because I am mixing a number of foundations and I want to have control as to where those foundations are going. If I chose a larger brush, it doesn't give me as much control as to where the foundation is going on the skin. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just continuing to work with the Real Techniques setting brush throughout this foundation application. Lola does not have a lot of discoloration or anything going on under the eye, so I'm just using some of the Dermablend Smooth Liquid Camo Concealer, only where she needs it, just on that inner corner, and then blending that out with the rest of the face. The finish of this concealer is a natural sort of matte finish, which works for this application. I don't need all of that shine underneath the eye area. I want to make sure the glow of the skin is really on the high points. So you can see how great of a job this concealer actually does without having to mix in a corrector. It's about a medium coverage, and you can build the coverage with the Dermablend concealer, and it's the perfect tone for her skin. And the Refer brush that I'm using to apply this concealer, sorry everyone, is actually a prototype, and I think they're going to be launching this one later on in the year. I'm going to add some shape to the face using the Danessa Myricks Power Bronzer in Deep. You can see it on the inside of my wrist. It's a really rich, warm color. Because Lola's skin is naturally sort of golden and warm, I can use a product like this to really sculpt the face and create some definition on the perimeter of the face and the cheekbones. So I'm using this to sculpt, and it's also going to help intensify that really gorgeous tan that she has. And her shoulders, which unfortunately you can't see, I should have zoomed out just a little bit, are very close to this tone, so everything's gonna work together if we have her whole torso in a beauty shot. I'm using the MAC Blot Powder now, sort of a double duty product. I'm gonna set the concealer under the eyes with the blot powder, and then I'm going to go around areas of the face where I don't want shine. I'm really picky about when I'm doing these glowy skin looks where the face is shiny and where it isn't. I really want the high points of the skin to pop, so I'll control some oil in the center of the face, around the nose and on the chin, and then I'll go back. In this case, I'm using again that Nudestix Illuminati cream highlighter, and I'm going to press that onto, or brush that into, the high points of the skin where I really want that glow to be focused. So I'm using both matte and really reflective textures on the skin to get a nice look overall. And then finishing up with mascara. I should have done this before I actually did the rest of the skin, but that's okay, I'm doing it now. And then some clear lip gloss on her lips. She has a beautiful natural lip color. I didn't want to add anything to it. I think it looks amazing. And then what I do after the lip is kind of take one last look and make sure all of the glow is balanced. So I'm just adding some more highlighter on the tops of the cheeks, and hopefully I'll get that little speck of highlighter. No, not yet. Okay, so we're going now on to the Lemonhead Space Jam. So I'm applying this with a brush. I've mixed Space Jam in Birthday Bitch and Midnight Society, and I also used a little bit of Space Paste in Mulholland just to bring out that pink. And I'm just really pressing it onto the lid with a synthetic brush, and to me this is the best technique. You can try it with your fingers and it works sometimes, but using a flat synthetic brush is the easiest, fastest way to get the product on. And you can see there's no fallout, it just kind of glides across the eyelid. It's very easy to apply and it's really fun to use. And when you get into mixing the different textures of glitter and the different colors, you can create some really gorgeous effects. And there, finally got that little chunk, and I'm just blending in the rest of the highlighter on the skin. And here's the final look. You can see how much glitter is in that little bit of Space Jam that I put onto her eyelid. Such a fun product to work with. I love this look. I love that you can see the purple. I love her skin. She has amazing brows, and there's the before and after for you to look at as well. And that is it for today's video. When I was watching it back and doing the editing, that little speck of highlighter was driving me crazy. I'm sorry I couldn't see it. It's really hard for me to see one side of the face when I'm working here because I have to stand on one side of the model so I don't cross in front of the camera, but it's a really easy thing to correct. You can just kind of wipe it off. I depot all of my cream sort of stick highlighters into little pots, little tiny plastic containers. So like the Benefit, Watts Up, the Nude Sticks highlighters. And sometimes when you do this, if you don't really press them into the container or if you don't kind of warm them up before you apply them, sometimes it's very rare you can get those little tiny little balled up kind of clumps of product, but it doesn't happen that often and it's just an easy fix. So that's what happened with that. It was just, I can't even tell you how annoying that was for me to see, but I hope you had fun watching this makeup application. An important point I hope I got across in this video, of course you can see how amazing the Lemonhead glitters are, but the idea that when you're doing these glowy skin finishes, everything kind of matches. The glow under the brow, the glow on the cheek, on the nose, like everything kind of looks similar. Paying attention to these little details, layering, you know, the glitter pigment over a similar colored eyeshadow to create a nice backdrop for the glitter to really pop on camera. Paying attention to small details like this in your makeup applications, just generally and especially for beauty work, will help with the quality of work that you're putting out and will make things more pro quality. So even though I was slapping glitter all over her lid, having that darker shadow in the outer corner under the eye, it just adds subtle dimension. You're not gonna see it at a quick glance, but on a beauty shot, when people are looking at your makeup this close, it just adds that professional touch that really elevates the quality of what you're doing. So think about these details. Think about what products you're using and how and why. At the beginning of this video, I talked about skin prep, for instance. I just want glow. You know, even if her skin is combo to oily and maybe long-term is not gonna be great with the strobe cream, maybe it's too rich, I'm not gonna have her in front of the camera for more than maybe an hour or two. So if she gets a little bit shiny, I can use that shine to my advantage and just blot areas where I need to. Of course, skin prep is important, but for me, the finish of the product is what really matters in this type of shoot, in this shoot specifically. So think about things like that. Strategically placing really creamy, reflective products helps too. On the high points of the face is where they would occur naturally. So again, this is another way that keeps your work looking interesting and your makeup applications looking professional. It's well thought out, well blended, well executed. So I hope these are all tips that you can take with you to your own makeup applications. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any more questions, you can put them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye everyone.